Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar on using the fundamental analysis tools that are available in your version of Trader Workstation. Now, IB does provide an information system that will equip active traders with a robust arsenal of research tools powered by a variety of Tier 1 content providers. You can take advantage of the low-cost comprehensive research essentials bundle that includes reduced pricing on several key bundled subscriptions, or you've got the ability to subscribe a la carte to just those analytic research feeds and newswire services that you need. So let's jump right over into the desktop share portion of our event, and we'll get underway today. Now, before I do open up the Trader Workstation, I want to start from our website, because here is where I can show you what or where you can find any of the available pricing. Notice underneath the pricing menu, you'll find research, news, and market data. From here, what you'll be able to access, and let me see if we can get into that page. Here we go. It'll take just a moment for your site to catch up. But notice that from that pricing menu, you get access to real-time comprehensive research, news, and market data. If you do want to see those pricing, notice here, research and news will simply take you down further onto the page at where you can find what each of the prices are. Now, notice initially that the research platform, there's no additional charge. It is integrated into your version of TWS. But I also do want to point out there are many free services that are available and automatically included with your Trader Workstation. Notice here you can click this link, or I'll simply scroll down a little bit further, and where you can find those research tools that are available at no additional charge. Now, before I do get any further, I do want you to know there is a difference between non-professional and professional subscription rates. Basic difference here is whether you're trading for yourself or whether you have access to trade multiple different client accounts. If you do, you'll find that based on your account setup that you will have either non-professional or professional market data rates available. You'll see there is a difference as we scroll down. But notice that we do provide all of these services at no additional charge. Notice here, simply scrolling down, you'll see there's quite a bit available, and I'll be showing you in today's session how you can access this as well. Now, notice where it does mention free for active accounts. That means if your account, if you generate $30 or equivalent, US dollar equivalent in your account, $30 in commissions and fees, that does qualify you for an active account, and many of those subscription charges will be waived if you are an active trader. Notice that there's also some additional items here, and it looks like we're going to have a change in price where it's the stock reports are now free. As of August, it looks like they will increase in price. So just be aware of that as well. Now, notice here what we're going to be talking about during today's session are the street event calendars and the worldwide fundamentals that are included in each of your versions of Trader Workstation. Now, you can continue to scroll down and you'll find we also have some additional data services that are available, and these come at a bundled price. Notice here these there are 6 or 7, and I thought there were 7 different items that are included in that bundled subscription. So these are some of the most popular. So notice here you can see what each of those monthly charges are. As I continue to scroll down, I do want you to see we've got quite a bit of information that is available, and many of these providers do give you a free trial access period. So from the time you request a free trial, you'll get 30 days to review the information through Trader Workstation and see if it is a subscription that you do want to continue. So remember, if you want to see what's available, give it a free trial. Once you've selected that free trial, if you do want to continue after the 30-day trial subscription, it will expire and be removed from your system. Now, you can always go into account management and resubscribe, but do keep in mind that all of our subscriptions are charged on a monthly basis. If these subscriptions are active at any one time during the month, you'll be charged the full rate. We do not prorate subscription charges. So if you are going to do so, if your free trial ends mid-month, it's up to you whether you want to subscribe at that point and be charged for the entire month, or simply wait to the beginning of the month and re-up that subscription. By the way, you can also unsubscribe at any time. And if you are going to unsubscribe from any of the services, just remember to do it before the month ticks over to the next calendar month, because if it's still active, you will be charged. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so with that, here you see where you can subscribe to any of the features that I'm going to be showing you today. Now, keep in mind both the Reuters event calendar and the company fundamentals are now available at no additional charge. But there are other premium news services, for example, analyst research you can subscribe to, and event calendars, all which can easily be activated through account management. All right, so I'm going to close out of this window now, and I've already got Trader Workstation open up. Now, Trader Workstation users will see the company fundamentals window seamlessly integrated into the platform. How do you access it? Well, I'm going to show you, first of all, well, let's go to the New Window drop-down button. Going into that New Window button, notice here that under Information System, we have several different items. Oh, excuse me, I need to move one of my items out of the way. So what I'm going to do here is let's go back into that New Window button and notice that there is an event calendar. You'll also see the button is included at the top of the page, as well as a daily lineup, calendar of events, both economic and dividends that may be upcoming, and access to the fundamentals. Now, notice when I click on the fundamentals, there's quite a few additional selections that are available. You can access news. Notice here there are some news providers that are available. Let me simply move over to the right-hand side. It does get a little bit tricky here, but these are the same items that we just saw listed on our web page as well. So while you could get into company-specific news, for example, even Bloomberg TV is available. If you do, it's available here at no charge, and you can activate it directly from this window and keep it running and open on your desktop. Also do want to mention here, notice that with the fundamentals, there's quite a few different sections that we will be going through here today. Now, while you can access from the New Window button, I also want you to see, I'm going to come over and right-click, and let's go into Gilead Sciences, for example, and notice via that right-click menu, when you do click on an equity or a corporation, notice here you can go into the analytical tools, and company fundamentals are available there as well. So I want to point out that there are many different ways to access this. I happen to like the right-click menu because of the intuitive choices wherever it is that you right-click. But before we go into the fundamental analysis, let's take a look at some of the buttons that are available up at the top of your page. Now, first of all, when you do log into Trader Workstation, you'll find a daily lineup window is available. Consider this similar to the front page of a newspaper because it does include that type of layout and will show you today's upcoming events. You'll also find top news stories, the top 10 news stories, as well as news that are related to the positions that you hold within your account. Here you can get a bird's eye view summary of the day's headlines and notable events, including items that are available, or an overview of world markets. So notice, we'll take a look at this. Now, by the way, what I'm going to do is simply expand this to full screen access so that we can get rid of the clutter in the background and focus on what's available within that daily lineup. Now, you can scan the lineup for an overview of world markets. Notice here we do include certain items that are listed, for example, the E-mini S&P, and you'll see a thumbnail chart for that as well. Um, Notice that we do have some representative futures contracts for the E-mini S&P and the NASDAQ as well. Notice here that you'll see these items as well as the change in price since previous business day and the percentage change that represents. Now notice that colors are also used throughout this feature to give you at-a-glance information. Red indicates a downward movement in price since the closing price previous business day, where notice here that green background shading indicates positive movement in both price as well as percent change. Now notice besides just the futures contracts that are listed here, we also do show you some representative foreign exchange pairs. And by the way, notice that this item here is showing you an update in terms of pips rather than the actual amount that has been adjusted. Over on the right-hand side, we can see European markets as well as Asian markets are listed here. Now, notice background shading. Once again, where you see this brown, brownish yellow background, it's an indication, especially where you happen to see, notice here, the yellow tick dot. Now that tick dot is indicating that you do not have market data subscriptions. So what you're seeing here are delayed quotes. Delayed quotes based on the exchanges are available and can be viewed, but keep in mind these are not real-time quotes. If you don't hold the market subscription, these quotes are delayed. Now it could be delayed by 10, 15, even 30 minutes. It all depends on the exchanges where each of these products do trade. Those that are grayed, notice here where the text is grayed out, it means that markets are closed. So a lot of information at a glance just by checking out the different colors that are visible. Okay. Now, by the way, you'll also see, notice here, there are different sections to the paper. Briefing.com does give you an overview, and notice that you can launch the analyst research. First of all, we're taking a look at the market update, which is going to show here, and you've got a scroll bar, but you can also simply click to launch the analyst research and drill down even further. Now underneath that, you'll also see an economic calendar. This calendar is also included in our unified events calendar we'll be taking a look at next. And notice where there is a scroll bar, you can scroll to view information. Now this is general information based on your settings. So notice here, we're seeing global information it displayed. By the way, notice here as I'm taking my cursor and putting it in between each of these column headers, it's showing you the information. You can expand to see the let's see here, let's put our start date or starting time, as well as each of the different countries where these events are going to occur. By the way, any of these items, notice consensus amounts, actual, and if there is a surprise, will also be included here. If we click on this button, it will also take us into that unified events calendar. Now, also, notice that underneath, we have today's top 10 news articles, and on occasion you may see a red flame included here. What that is an indication that the news provider feels this is a hot article. And by the way, notice, for example, I'll simply click on Walgreens, and that actually opens up the page so you can view the entire article. So notice here, it is available for viewing. Now, by the way, I've just expanded that for full screen access because I also wanted to point out when you open up the news articles, you'll see there is a small icon that's included in the title bar. So if you do have difficulty reading white text on a black background, notice that you can click that button and view it with black text on a white background, or as you would normally view a web page. So do keep in mind where it is available. You can actually view that information directly by clicking on it. I'm going to go ahead and close out of that window. Um, Now, I also want to point out analyst activity. Now, notice here we've got certain tick dots, different colored tick dots, which also mean additional information. Now, notice here where you see the yellow tick dot, it is, and let me I'm going to try and hover over these because I did get that tooltip that identifies the tick dot color. Blue indicates it is a category competitor to any of those contracts that you might hold within your portfolio. Notice here the yellow indicates that it is a position or included in any of your watch lists. So once again, you can get that at a glance information. Now, the earnings calendar is available to pay no attention to no event schedule, but since we have unified all of the events calendars, it no longer fits in this spot within the within the daily lineup. But you can launch the event calendar from here. Now, also notice that portfolio news. It's a separate section here that is filtered to view the information that on contracts that you do hold within your account. Now, also notice there is a ranking that's indicated with any of these articles. This indicates sentiment or general market sentiment. Notice that 1 is positive sentiment, 0 or NA means we don't have any sentiment available, but you have positive with green and negative sentiment with red. Now, also, as you do scroll down, you may see, well, for example, here, based on sentiment choices, it could be 50-50, or it could show you a percentage included on this window. Now, I do want to mention, remember, if you're unfamiliar with what you're viewing, simply hover your cursor over any of the column headers or the icons that are displayed. That brings up a tooltip. And some of these tooltips even include hyperlinks where you can find some additional information. So just be aware of that. Now, I mentioned here the earnings event calendar, and if you do want to view that calendar, simply click the event calendar link that's included within the daily lineup. Notice here how it opens up that event calendar. So we do have it. It's just based on the redesign of this window, it no longer fits into that small space. Well, I'm going to close this out for just a moment and also point out that you can close the daily lineup or simply minimizing it. Minimizing it puts an icon on your toolbar or a tab on your toolbar where you can come back and review that information at any time. Now, also, you notice here you can either close the daily lineup or simply turn it off. Notice this. If you do choose to turn it off, it will no longer appear when you first log in to the Trader Workstation platform. So for what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to cancel this so we don't have to reopen it and simply minimize it down to my taskbar. Now, the events calendar, you don't have to go through the menu. You'll find that there is a or using that button that appears up in the anchor toolbar will actually launch the event calendar. Now here, while you can open it from multiple different places, it still takes you back to that same event calendar. Now, as I'm going to, let me go ahead, I want to maximize this window too, so we can get rid of some of that background clutter. Now, notice when you first come into the unified events calendar, it is going to show you the current trading day. And you'll see that calendar of information that's included in the upper left-hand corner. Results in each of those different sections that are available in the calendar will appear over on the right-hand side. Now, notice how you could filter the calendar by company. So I'm just going to put in, let's add JP Morgan, for example. And notice once you do identify that underlying ticker symbol, it will then organize and show you just those features that are included or that are referencing JP Morgan or the ticker symbol that you entered. Now, once you have that, notice that this now is focused on JP Morgan. I'm going to come back up here and let me close off of this because I should, because I should be able to X out of this. one of the first things, just a minute. Okay. One of the first things that I did want to show you, besides filtering by particular country, is that you're able to go in and show or filter for what it is that you want to view. Notice here, by selecting show only or only show my companies, you can turn that on or off. It's a way to filter what's available within the calendars. If you do turn it off, notice here, you'll get global information, but I'm going to go ahead and keep that turned on. I also do want to point out the different tick dot colors that are included here, because once again, these colors give you that at a glance information. Now, notice here how that blue tick dot, we also saw it in the daily lineup, indicates your portfolio or companies that are held in your portfolio. A red tick dot indicates that these are included in your watch list, and that's any watch list that you have within the Mosaic or the Classic version of TWS. Notice a yellow tick dot on this screen indicates companies that you have recently held in your portfolio, as well as those that may be a competitor in any of the categories to what is included in the companies that you do hold. Now, each of these, notice here, I may not want to see the competitor or the recently held company, so I'm going to simply deselect that information. Now, one of the things I'm just noticing over to the economic calendar is it does show you global information. Taking a look at all of these global corporations may be a bit more than what you want to drill down through. So notice when you do first come to this page, while it is set or defaults to all global corporations, notice how you can filter by individual region. U.S., those American products that are available but not including U.S. products, European and Asian products can also be isolated on this screen. Since I happen to be U.S. Located, I'll simply click on U.S. and now notice that what we're seeing for any of these economic events are just those that apply to U.S. products. Now, you can always go back and add any recently held companies or competitor companies, and each time I do, I want to point out what is visible within that calendar. Notice how the calendar is going to show you. You'll see those different tick dots that are included for each day of the month, and you can view what we currently have listed for the current day. We could go back to Monday's information, or I could move ahead and view information in July. Now, notice the colored tick dots that are included under each day of the week identify those products that are also visible to you. Well, let's go back to today's date and notice here, I'm going to go back, move back 1 month, and we'll go back into today, June 29th, and notice what you're able to see over on the right-hand side. Now, let me see. Also, corporate actions are available. Corporate actions also include 4 subcategories of corporate actions that you can view as well. Now, this includes for example, corporate earnings, which will show you a consensus estimate provided in advance. Actual values will update for major corporations as they are announced. You can also view dividends, which are going to show you, and notice here, you can filter for just those items that are displayed. Now notice we do have a dividend section, which shows you the declaration, payment, record date, your ex-dividend date, and an annualized amount. So just be aware that all of this can be accessed through this particular window. Now, we also do have IPO and secondary offerings that could be available for upcoming IPOs. Now, IB will make every effort to provide customers with the ability to enter orders in advance at which the day at which trading begins in the secondary market. So notice that can be added here as well. Then there's also stock splits. Now, stock splits will include, and let me go ahead and add that, any stock splits, if they are visible or if there are any occurring for today, will be displayed over on the right-hand side. Stock splits will also include declaration, payment, record date, ex-dividend or ex-distribution date with a ratio and a description. So there's quite a bit that's available that you can easily access from this page. Now, in addition to all of these corporate actions, and keep in mind, putting a check mark there enables that particular feature, or deselecting the check mark removes it from what appears over on the right-hand side. Now, you'll also see some additional items that are now included, such as corporate events. You can choose to display or hide these major corporate events by simply clicking that on or off button. Notice how that's now been removed from the site. But as soon as I click to turn it on, you'll see those corporate events will now reappear. Now, these can include such events as shareholder meetings, conferences, forums, and the like included in those corporate events. Now, in addition, you can also choose, keep in mind, notice here, you can turn those on or off. Depends on what it is that you want to view. Now, also, there's an economic events calendar, which will show you economic indicators or events, such as the Fed or the FOMC announcements, unemployment, consumer confidence, and so much more. By the way, all of these are available for global coverage if you want to not isolate to a particular global region. Also do want to point out that there is an option last trade date. Once you have that on, you can actually toggle it on or off to view or hide option last trade dates in this section, or in the section that will appear. So here is that corporate events calendar. Now also, I do want to point out up on top, you can take a look in the upper right-hand corner by day, by week, and notice this is going to give you a summary. So rather than having to scroll through all of that information, you'll actually be able to see, and keep in mind the different tick dot colors will all be organized so that you can view. And notice that any of these, for example, if I do want to see Cisco, I can simply double-click that item for some additional information. This one happens to be, notice here, start date, the description, and you'll also see where that originated, or the source for that information. By the way, you can also even go into the month. Now notice here that monthly calendar is displayed, and you'll see those colored tick dots, but it's also available on the upper left-hand side of your screen, where you could view any of the months or completely drill down into any of these days that are available. Okay, now if you do want to filter any of this section, simply use the calendar that's included in the upper left to select a different day, week, or month, either from the calendar or from any of these items. By the way, there's also a search feature here, so let's put in JP Morgan once again, and you'll see if based on that particular underlying, any that or any upcoming events that may also be affected. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this, and just keep in mind you can always access that directly from the mosaic. Also, remember there's that new window drop-down button, and here you can go into the event calendar as well. So multiple ways of accessing. By the way, let me jump over into the classic version of TWS, because notice here you'll also get access from the analytical tools menu. We'll go down to, let me see here, into the fundamentals. Here's the event calendar, or company fundamentals are accessible from this window as well. But as I showed you in the right at the beginning, is I happen to prefer the right-click menu, because right-clicking on a specific ticker symbol will allow you to find that information, and notice here via the right-click menu, I'll go into either the event calendar. Notice I can go into the event calendar, and if any of these items are included, it's automatically displayed. I'm going to close that calendar out, but also do want you to be aware that from that right-click menu, you could also go into company fundamentals. Okay, so while I did want to show you the classic version of TWS, we're going to go back into Mosaic because the next button that I did want to mention are the news providers. Notice that news is available, and you can go into company-specific news, filtered news, portfolio or watch list, or a broad tape news. But let's take a look in the lower right-hand corner. You'll see this news window is already set up. Here we do have general, or that broad tape news is going to display the top top news articles for today's market. And here's that hot article that I mentioned before. Remember, you can double click to go in and view that information either in a separate window or view that page as a web page as well. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that window right now. Notice here, if we go into the news articles, you'll see there's also filtered news for your portfolio or a ticker-specific news. Now, there's also filtered feeds that you can access, and simply clicking that plus will give you the ability to add some additional windows. So if you do want, and that's how I added a filtered news, and we'll go in and see how you can configure that in just a moment. But notice, for example, if you do want to launch Bloomberg TV, it will actually open up within this window, and you can simply launch it and view directly from here. Because of bandwidth concerns, I'm simply going to close that particular window out. Notice here I'm going to close that out. But I did want you to see that even a TV can run on Trader Workstation throughout the day. Now, additional items can also be added from this window. Here's that top 10, which we also saw in the daily lineup. Besides Bloomberg TV, there's other items, for example, market signals. Now, market signals will give you an idea of certain changes, such as price spikes up or down, an option volume change. You can see quite a few items that are included here. Now, if you do want to go in and notice you can filter for items for a particular selection. And let me go in. I'm just going to add NLY, which happens to be one that I'm seeing. And notice now how you can actually even filter for a particular ticker symbol that you may be monitoring. It will show you any current day's information, such as spikes up or down, and notice this is all based on the ticker symbol that I entered. If you want to go back to general information, use the red X that's included in the search field. Ranking is included here, just as we saw on the daily lineup. But then, too, there is this wrench head. Now, I'm sorry, the wrench is our configuration wrench that will take you into the global configuration screen. The beauty about accessing the global configuration, it is available on the toolbar or on the title bars for any of the windows that make up the mosaic. General global configuration can be accessed from the title bar for Trader Workstation. But notice when you do go through that wrench icon for a specific feature in TWS, it automatically opens up to configure how you're going to view those news articles. You'll see each of the tabs that I've included on that window will be listed here. And then notice how you can, by the way, first of all, they are color linked. That linking icon you'll see right here, it's linked to the ticker selection that you've made. And you can view or customize any of these tabs that you've added. So for example, where I'm currently on market signals, I could have that open up to specific market signals. Now notice here you get some additional items. But I'm going to move on because in any of these windows, you can choose to identify what's held in your portfolio or in your watch list. So rather than viewing general market news, notice how you can get very specific and filter out some additional clutter in your window. Now notice that once you make that selection, Whether you want to view all portfolio companies, you can also include news that may be related to other corporations uh, by category. So you can activate that. You can also choose to add companies that you're monitoring in any of your watch lists or quote monitor screens, as well as related firms can be included here. Now, once I deselect that, I'm just going to remove these my check marks and notice, well, let me see, to remove this, we'll keep this activated. But if you do deselect those items, it will turn off those related corporations as well. Now, by the way, if you have a limited ticker list, you can also choose to add just the custom ticker list instead of viewing all market events by simply going in and editing and adding several or adding those symbols that you do want to include. So I'm going to close out of that window. By the way, different market signals that are filterable, notice here that I can go in and configure that subject filter. For example, and here are some of the market signals that can be viewed within that particular tab in your news window, such as when those products hit a 52-week high or low, whether there's been a gap at the open, option volume spike, price spike, and the rest of these can all be included in your watch list, in your Mosaic interface. And remember that because these are all, let me go ahead, well, first of all, if you do make any changes, want to make sure that you do click Apply and then OK. Apply will save those changes, and you could go back and view any of your additional pages. Now, notice where I do have Newswire that's already been selected, you'll see that you also have the ability to go in and filter by subject by simply making that selection. Here's everything that I do have available on my version of TWS, but then notice there's also some listed down below. You'll see those that are grayed out are those that I do not subscribe to. So if I did want to include any of these, I would first need to subscribe to those news providers. But where you do subscribe to those, notice here, for example, 24/7 Wall Street, I'm simply going to click that link, and I did that rather quickly to configure the subject. And then here over on the left-hand side, notice that the available topics, you can select multiples if you're looking for consumer products. You may want to check multiple ones here. Every one you add will be included over on the right-hand side, or you can use that X to remove them from the screen. Now, I'm not going to save these right now, but I did want you to see that you can actually drill down to view just that information that is most relevant to your trading needs. If you have made changes, make sure you click Save. I'm going to click Cancel in this case, and then Apply will actually save any changes that you've made, and OK will close out that global configuration window. Okay, all right, so we took a look at news articles. Well, then we have another button on top, which is for analyst research. This button here, when you do click it, will provide third-party institutional caliber research that's been integrated into the Trader Workstation. Notice here, those research providers that you've subscribed to will be listed at the top of the page. You'll also see those that are available or that you do not subscribe to are also listed. If you find one that looks interesting, remember you can click on that item and notice this page, instead of showing you one of those reports, it will give you access to account management where you can subscribe to this service. Clicking more information will actually take you out to a page, and notice here this is going to launch the account management feature. I happen to be in my paper account here, so I'm not going to be able to show you that information or subscribe, but it is underneath the Manage Account section. You'll find research items are available, so here's where you'll need to subscribe to any of those markets. don't do it today. We're at the end of the month, so wait until Monday if you are interested. And let me see, can I get in here? No, I can't show you that information from my paper account, but that's where you can make that subscription. So you can view under Analyst Research the items that you do subscribe to and actually go into any of those reports by simply clicking through any of these or view additional information that you may want to add to TWS. By the way, we're adding new research partners on a regular basis, so do check often. Now, at the top of this page, there's also some additional items that are listed here. Analyst actions. Clicking on that will open up a window that summarizes the upgrade and downgrade. Here it is. Now it's taking a bit to populate. There we go. Now, this is for any of those companies, including those that are included in your watch list, in your portfolio, or competitors of those companies. So notice how this general window summary excuse me, will populate for a quick view. Now also keep in mind that the lower panel here, where you'll see those upgrades and downgrades, by the way, remember there's certain icons, and when you see those icons hovering over those, we'll show you a tooltip. For example, there happens to be a short sale restriction on this particular underlying, and notice here how it is going to show you it's in effect from today through tomorrow, through end of trading tomorrow. And so even these icons that are included can give you that additional information. Action details, notice here the rating, whether it's a change from a sell to a hold, neutral to a buy, or hold to a buy. So you can see what each of those actions are. And then too, I want to point out this last price. Now these tick dots here are letting you know if the last price was completed on an uptick with a green tick dot or a down tick with a red tick dot. So you can get an idea of directional movement as well directly from this screen. I'm going to close that window out and do invite all of you to take a look and drill down for additional information. But before we get off Analyst Research, you can also find recent publications. Here you'll see, and by the way, notice I'm going to, you'll see the publication date as well as and here we have, let me see if I can expand this, or I'm going to, let me expand this page here and show you all of the recent publications that are available. This happens to be on Recognia, and notice there are short-term technical analysis items that will be included here. So, for example, price crossing a moving average, it's going to show you the day and the ticker symbol that's been affected. Remember, you can filter using the search filter for particular items or for particular ticker symbols, all that will be included on this page. Now, there's also some notice here under recent publications, you can go in, and now I've got this expanded. Notice that I could choose from any of these publications that I do have available. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that window. Now, now what I do want to show you though as well is getting into the company fundamentals. Now that's also an additional window, and it has been seamlessly integrated, but we've run out of buttons at the top. So before we, and before I jump off these buttons, let me also mention the FYIs. FYIs are information that is relevant to positions that you hold in your account. For example, one of the FYIs that I can be notified on is option expiration. With the weekly options expiring, notice at the end of the week, here is one of those notifications. You can set up the FYIs by going into your configuration wrench, and notice all FYIs that are available can be turned on or off. If you happen to have a mutual fund, notice you can turn on a mutual fund advisory by simply choosing to turn that on, or you can also deselect it, which means that you won't be notified. But here is where you can sign up to view any of those notifications. By the way, the notifications will appear within Trader Workstation and any of our trading platforms. So whether you're using our Web Trader feature, which is a scaled back version of TWS available behind a firewall where access to trade or the Trader Workstation may not be possible. You'll also find those FYIs are available in any of our mobile applications as well. So for those items that you do want advance notice, such as a dividend-triggered option exercise advisory, simply activate them from here. Notice there's also a question mark icon that will take you out to additional information about utilizing our FYI notifications. By the way, this gives you a little bit more of an example. FYIs are set up to be not only shown within any of our trading platforms, but you'll also receive a notification based on or sent to the email address of record that we have for your account. Okay, so we've been through those buttons on the top. Now let's take a look at company fundamentals and the research amenities that are available. Now, as I mentioned, we can go through the new window and go down and notice here fundamentals and several different pages. Or as I showed you before, I happen to like the right-click menu. Right-clicking on a particular ticker symbol and then choosing Analytical Tools will take me to the very same place. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that fundamental window. Now notice Company Fundamentals, and I'm grabbing that title bar and just moving it slightly to show you that this is a separate window. It does pop up, and you'll see if you want to keep this on top, simply choose that push pin icon that will anchor this window. So if you do happen to left click somewhere outside the window, your company fundamentals will stay on top. Notice without that selected, if I do happen to click, say for example, in my monitor screen, it actually, or that fundamental window falls to the background. Here you'll see down on my taskbar, notice the 3 blocks. That's also showing you company fundamentals. I'm going to bring that up and we'll anchor this on top and take a look at some of the windows that are available. Now, when you first access the fundamental analytics, notice how you are brought to a corporate summary page. This will provide expanded business and financial overviews of the corporation that you're looking at. Plus, you'll also find snapshot views of key financial ratios such as market capitalization, price to earnings ratio, price to book, your EPS growth, and by the way, information icons will also give you some additional descriptions on what is held as well as the interval that was used to calculate each of these different ratios. Now, by the way, there's a More button here underneath each of these different sections, for example, so I could go directly into company fundamentals. But in this case, let's go back to the Summary tab. Remember the ratios there you can access very easily by simply clicking More from our Summary page. Dividends are also included here. Your analyst forecasts are available, as well as details that do include, notice here, your common shareholders, outstanding shares, as well as the float. So once again, additional information. For example, the last available day would have been about a month ago. You can find insiders or corporation principles that are included, such as your CEO, your chairman, chief executive officer, etc. By the way, notice insider and institutional short interest and holdings are also available. Now, any of these windows, this is just a synopsis that we're looking at. And keep in mind, you can drill down into additional features by simply going to the dashboard that's included at the top of this screen. By the way, notice that for the company that you do have selected, you can click and make a change either by right-clicking on a ticker symbol in TWS or simply going in, and notice here, I may want to move to Microsoft. Moving to Microsoft, notice how everything has now changed in my fundamental window and will be relevant to Microsoft equities or shares. Now, also included on the title bar, you'll see a real-time quote for the corporation that you're looking at. Notice it is going to show you the last price at which it traded, and you'll also see that color coding, change in price since previous business day, and the percent change it represents. By the way, this color linking icon is one of those best helpful tools available in TWS because each of these windows, when you do click on a different ticker symbol, and let me go in, say, for example, to Bank of America, you'll see that all of my windows that are color linked with this icon will update automatically. So let's go back into Cisco, for example, and I'm going to bring this page up. Now, additional items can be notice here, underneath the summary, there's a financial summary. These are all separate pages that are included in our company fundamentals. Now, this financial summary will display a 6-year chart at the top half of the window, and you can hover over any of the data points within the chart. Let me see if I can hover. Sometimes this hover doesn't pop up with that tooltip, but when you do hover, what you'll be able to see are details including date, price, revenue, and EPS. Now, notice additional items can be added to the chart that appears up at the top of the window, such as revenue per share. By the way, notice you'll see price action included in the background, and then you can also view any dividend information. Colored text represents the same color line in the chart. And notice here, you can view this information based on quarterly or trailing 12 months. When I do go into the trailing 12 months, notice how that will update on this window. By the way, you'll find each individual year will be recapped, and not only can you see this based on a percentage change, but then notice there's also an absolute dollar change. So all of this is available directly within this window. Now let's move on to the next window here, and that's ownership. Now our ownership for each of these corporations is going to show you detailed insider and institutional ownership statistics that you can incorporate into your investment strategies. This window does provide detailed institutional as well as insider shareholders and a graph of ownership over the percentage of time. So notice that's going to be displayed on the top of this page. So here, now there's also a log that's included, and notice our insider trade log will also be included down below. So again, just simply come in, drill down, and view the information directly in this screen. Now there's also short interest. This window will actually graph the short interest as a percent of the float. The days short, let's go into the percentage of float, the days short. Oh, here's the percentage of float. And notice how each of these text colors correspond to the additional lines added to that graph. And here you can view the actual date. Notice here the short interest log is going to show you the number of shares, the days, and the percentage of float as well, down with detailed information. More is included here, and I'm going to skip over the Wall Street Horizon corporate event calendar for just a minute because that does require an additional subscription. So let's continue on and see what is provided at no additional charge. Now I am going to go into the dividend calendars, and notice here it is going to provide a 12-month dividend yield as well as a 1-year dividend growth. by the way, notice the icons that are included here, and you'll see additional descriptions on the metrics that are included at the top of this page. Now, when you come into this screen, you'll find that along with the growth metrics, a dividend schedule with the previous 5 years of dividend history is included. Then we also do have forecasted dividends that are available on a separate tab with the expected X date and the amount for the regular dividends that will soon be announced. Dividends. Now, dividends here differ from the event calendar dividends. Remember, these are dividends for a specific underlying, where what you see in the Unified Events Calendar are dividends based on the date. Those that have a record date or an ex-dividend date will be included in the event calendar. But here is where you can get those specific metrics on an individual ticker symbol. All right, moving on, there's also an analyst ratings. And notice here, we have analyst ratings summary and detail. Now, this summary screen, let's go into here, is provided because staying on top of analyst activity is a necessity in this world where upgrades and downgrades will move the markets. This is going to display sell-side analyst rating and provide you with the information that's included on this page. So notice, again, this is ticker specific, and we'll show you the various analysts and, for example, their price target, as well as the date and the rating, whether it's buy, sell, hold, or neutral, based on each of these analyst firms. Also, price targets are included, and you'll see the rating statistics, the number of analysts that have suggested this as a buy, an outperform, hold, underperform, or sell. So you'll be able to view that, as well as additional information such as price targets. Notice here we've got this now set to the mean price target. Well, moving on, I'm going to keep moving. And I do want to show you there's also the analyst ratings detail. Now, this detail here will allow you to see the most recent analyst recommendations for the selected contract that we have. Previous recommendations are also included or provided for comparison. So you can see current information a week ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, and a year ago. So you can view what those ratings, that detail for those specific ratings. Plus, also notice that on here you'll see those targets, or I'm sorry, those articles are provided, and double-clicking, oh, I have my window anchored on top, so I did get that article. It just happened to appear underneath the window. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. Now, there's more included here as well, and those are the key financial ratios. Now, you can use these ratios to focus on a company's valuation measures, such as your price to earnings ratio. You'll see all of these are listed here. Popular variation or valuation methods are provided, so you can factor in price and earnings, dividend yields, etc. Now, also notice the anagrams that are included. What does TTM mean, or MRY? Here's where our information icons are going to be helpful. Notice that simply hovering over that information icon will show you how it's calculated, as well as the interval that it was calculated on. For example, trailing 12 months is TTM, most recent year, MRY, or most recent quarter is included here, as well as the next 12 months. So notice here for forecast of the earnings per share, it's also going to be included on this window. So you can view that directly within the fundamental package. Oh, I just closed out on that. Let me jump back in. I'm going to right-click here, go into my analytical tools, and company fundamentals. Now, I do want to point out quickly, another few windows here include financial statements. If you do want to drill down into income statements, balance sheets, or cash flow statements, they're available on an annual as well as a quarterly basis. So you can view that information and change it directly on this screen. So keep that in mind if you do want to see the quarterly information. Here we have quarterly, or we could go back to annual information. Okay, another item here, and I'm going to go back up to my drop-down menu, are the analyst forecasts. This is going to include your consensus estimates for each of these different values or each different section, such as capital expenditure or cash flow, even dividend per share can be listed. There's quite a few, so remember to take a look at the scroll bar over on the right-hand side. Now, not only can you see the consensus estimates, notice there's also an estimates trend. So if you do want to get an idea on what those estimates or the trend here for each of these separate categories, notice that you can see current, a week, a month, several months ago, even up to a year ago will all be included on this page. And the final category is similar products. We've seen that throughout our fundamental features, you will find that competitor categories are included. So if you go into those similar products, this actually what you'll see, and those who have used our market scanners will understand, or this page will actually be quite familiar. Here is where you can quickly find top corporations in the same industry or sector for the product that you have in focus. Notice here, we're in the telecommunications industry, and based on the item that's selected here, top losers, you'll see those that will be displayed within the screen. Now, there is a drop-down menu, so you can find those that may have the highest dividend yield based on the sector, all associated with the underlying ticker symbol we have in focus here. Now, these scanners are customizable, and notice the wrench head icon. You can go in and you'll see from those available scanners, say, for example, I may want to see what's most active in the sector. Now, not only can I run the scanner by simply clicking apply, and we'll have the scanner will reappear in the window, but I could also go in and add or edit the information that's displayed. Now notice when I go into the edit button, it opens up a parameter window where you can choose from multiple different types of scans that are available. You can also filter by price, greater than, equal to, or greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, in the range is also displayed here. So you can add that. In addition, you can choose the same the sector. If you do want to, for example, I may go into consumer cyclical, or wait a minute, we are on Cisco, so I'll go back into communications. So you can view this information. You can also add additional filters and choose from any that are that are listed here, and there are quite a few. So do take some time if you're looking for additional information on other corporations in the same industry, sector, or category that you're currently working with. Now, I did say with the corporate Wall Street Horizons corporate events calendar, I'm going to come back in here, and this is available by subscription only. And what it will do is show you an extensive earnings event calendar on companies around the world. You'll find that upcoming earnings dates, conference calls, and details, as well as other corporate events, are provided with dates, times, and URLs. Now notice here, it is going to show you, say for example, at the top of the window, the ticker symbol that you have in focus. But others that are located or similar companies can also be included here. Now, not only can you view that, let me see, this actually happened yesterday. So if you've missed the broadcast, notice there's a hyperlink back to that broadcast if you do want to listen in on that earnings call. You can also view, notice here, its fourth quarter earnings will come out in August. Now, here you can see the date and the time. By the way, notice that it's also going to show you each date where earnings will be announced for the next or for the current year. Now, also notice that we do have a date calendar over on the right-hand side that you could actually set up an alert. So if we do want to move out to, say, August here, and notice this August event, August 16th, is already highlighted in the calendar. Now, not only can you view that information, we could actually go back to previous items here as well. Now, once you do have that corporate events calendar, as well as those financial ratios, those and any of our financial data or fundamental data can also be added to any of your watch lists. Now, in the Mosaic, where you do have additional notice here, I could go in and simply hover over any of the column headers and then choose to insert or remove a column. Now, if you do subscribe to Wall Street Horizon's corporate events calendar, notice I may want to see the upcoming events, and it now will be listed any place that I do have an equity ticker symbol. Now, I also mentioned, so here, by the way, when you add those to your watch list, you can actually sort and resort using the column header. Simply left-click on that column header so you can view the information. Well, this, what I'm going to do is click again, and notice that this window is letting me know that simply left-clicking the column header, you can run through different sort by routines. So what I've just done was reorganize the information in my watch list according to the upcoming earnings dates. So not only can you set up an FYI, for example, for those upcoming earnings, you can also view that along with any of the ticker symbols that you're monitoring. Now, speaking of ticker symbols that you're monitoring, what I do want to do is come in and say, we've been looking at Cisco, for example. What I'm going to do is double click. Now, double clicking, this is a configuration choice that I do have available, is going to open up your contract description window and at the same time show you those key financial ratios. Now, double clicking is a configuration choice. I'm going to use my global configuration window or wrench, go into the, and notice here, that's actually going to bring me into global config window in TWS. And here I could go down and choose where I am going is into the display settings and ticker row selection. Now notice it's this double click selection here that will open up contract details. By default, most of you will see if you do double click, it will open up a blank space. I'm going to go ahead and we'll click change contract and click apply because that is the default. So notice if I double click on Microsoft, I have a blank space so that I could add a new ticker symbol if that's what I intended to do. But if you do want a shortcut into the company fundamentals, notice open that double click by selecting open company fundamentals. I'll click apply and then OK. And now if I want to go in and find more about Tesla, for example, double clicking that icon will give me a general idea on the ticker symbol, its home exchange or primary exchange, sector, industry, even the hours of operation. But over on the right-hand side with those key financial ratios, notice here we could go back into per share data. It's hyperlinked back into the Trader Workstation fundamental feature and takes us right back into one of those windows that we had discussed before. So I wanted to point that out. Now, also, one other item I'm going to jump in here is show you that we do have a portfolio window. Now, the portfolio window, while it is available within the Mosaic, I'm also going to go into your account window. Now, notice at the top of this or in the title bar, you'll find the account drop-down menu will bring you into your account window. There's balances, margin requirements, what you have available for trading, and several different sections. So let me expand this window because if you scroll to the very bottom, you'll also find your portfolio. This is the same portfolio or the same ticker symbols that are held and can be viewed within Trader Workstation. But notice what we do have here, and it's an icon that's included above your portfolio that will allow you to view a a portfolio events calendar. So for all ticker symbols held in your account, you can actually view that directly through your account window. Now, notice I do have a rather sizable portfolio because I have been working with our portfolio builder. So this will take a few minutes to bring up. But if you do want to add it, you can actually find the information directly within the portfolio section here. So I'm going to choose to disable that for at least for right now, but did want to show you where it can be accessed and available. Now, I'm going to jump back into my favorites because once again, there is information available via a right-click menu. Now, notice when I do right-click here, what I do want to get into is notice I'm going to expand this particular menu with the arrowhead that appears at the bottom. Expanding that menu will actually get you into SEC filings. Now, SEC Gov has a substantial repository of financial information that's provided to the SEC. And you can access any of those SEC filings by simply expanding that menu. And notice here, it will take you right out to the .gov or the Edgar.gov page where you can review any of the filings or the actual reports. And actually go in and view those documents directly from here. So if you do want to view the SEC filings that are included, this page or that SEC, I'm going to minimize this again. Now notice when I right-click, go into Analytical Tools, that if you have recently accessed it, it then becomes part of the active menu selection. Okay, now also, with those market fundamentals, I'm going to jump into the Plus tab here because many of these fields, what we've seen through our fundamental features, are also available as market scanners. Now, you can use these to scan certain markets, and notice I'm going to go in just as a quick look here. We'll go into the U.S. movers. You'll see a dual sorted scan now appears over on the right-hand side, but it is the ability to customize these scans. Well, let me see. What I'm going to do, let me close out of here. Instead of that dual sorted scan, I'm going to open up a new scan. And in this case here, we're just going to go with U.S. active. You'll see just a single list here will show you those products that are actively trading in current markets. Now, if you do want to edit or modify that scanner, notice we could edit the scanner with the button here for any that you've already created, or choose to customize the scan. Now, basic information that's included in the scanner will be visible, but notice this field here for which will allow you to add additional market data. I'm going to collapse that and did want to point out that popular fundamentals, analyst ratings, independent ratings, per share data, and each of these choices are also available. For example, if I did want my earnings or my price to earnings ratio, notice how I can add that, and it now appears as a field within the scanner. Once added to any of our quote or watch list or quote monitors, notice that a simple left click will allow you to organize that scan in ascending value, you can see the arrowhead, or another left click will allow you to move that in descending value. Now, there's also one additional feature that so besides your watch list and company fundamentals, do be aware that there is a feature that we do have available called the Portfolio Builder. I'm going to go into the New Window button and notice Portfolio Builder is a separate featured item that's available. So let's go into Portfolio Builder. By the way, you can open that up as a new window or a separate tab that will open up as well. Now, what the Portfolio Builder will allow you to do is create or use some of our predefined strategies, and I'm going to go into that predefined strategy. And notice here that you can use based on analyst information and research providers. It's a way for you to create a portfolio and actually even backtest that portfolio and then create a portfolio that will be monitored separately within your account. We're going over in today's session, so I did want to point out that this is available, but also show you that on the Interactive Broker website, let me go back to our website here. And I'll simply bring up the IB website. And notice if you type in the type webinars or webinar in the search field and then click go, it will take you to a page where you can view previous recordings or sign up for any of our upcoming events. Going to those previously recorded sessions, notice here it will take you to a page that you can view, for example, the Portfolio Builder, full-length recording that we have, or even just go in and take a look at the webinar notes. Here is where you can find out some additional information on that. Okay, I do want to open this up for questions. I see a few questions have come in. Can you see, let's see, Ram was asking, can you see the analyst actions in the past 30 days? We'll take a look at that now through, remember, let's go back into TWS. Whether you want to go into for a particular ticker symbol, that would actually be going through your fundamental feature. And I think I was showing you with our analyst summary as well as the analyst details, how you can drill down on information for each of those. And I believe that, let me see here, we'll go back into our fundamentals, your analyst forecast. Let me see the analyst details, and I think that's where you'll be able to find some additional information. Here we do have it, and notice how you're going to be able to see individual, what it was a week ago, a month ago, and hopefully that's what it is that you're looking for, Ram. Okay, well, with that, looks like there's no additional questions, so I am going to conclude today's session. I want to thank all of you for joining me here today and hope I've opened up your eyes to some of the capabilities that we do have available within TWS. Now, I know we've covered a lot here today, and do want to remind you, we have been recording today's session. So if you do want to come back and review concepts that we've discussed, simply watch your email in just a little while. I'll be sending out a direct link to today's recorded playback. I'll also include the webinar notes that we use, so it's the same outline that I go through with the basic information. So keep in mind you can access that from our website, and remember, simply type in webinars in the search field and go into the recorded sessions. Now, you'll be able to see, notice here, by the way, any of our columns we can sort and resort based on simple left click on the column header. So what I'm going to do is come down here and show you that fundamental analysis tools and the associated webinar notes will also be posted here later on this afternoon. This happens to be a previous session, but if you do want those webinar notes, notice here it's going to give you the ability to look further into what it was that we've discussed. So with that, that's going to end our session today. We are going to conclude. Once again, I want to thank all of you for participating and do appreciate your interest. You can all exit today's session using the X in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.